I got a pocket full of quarters and I'm headed to the arcade.
Not with an S. So not.
Wait, try it.
We both got a wild card! We both got a wild card! Are you kidding me? What?
Oh my god!
What?
Oh my god! You're still gonna get more points than me. Okay, you ready?
No. Do it.
Okay.
Oh! Oh my god! Oh! That feels terrible! Oh! So we're gonna do this. Wait. Did that just kill them? It's too easy to get like perma stuck downstairs. Oh!
The faster you go up.
Oh,
There we go. Oh, I broke it. Yeah, they're hoping.
Oh
the other
my
person's
god!
Magic hatchet? Are you kidding me? Let's go.
Oh my god!
Hi, my name is Andrew, and I wanted to, first of all, just say thank you and welcome to the OPodcast. If you could do us a little favor and just tell us a little bit about yourself, where you're from, and something unique about you.
My name is Goop or Gooperative on basically any social media. My real name's Dylan. I don't have an issue telling that. I am 26 years old. I was basically raised in Missouri, so like the central of the US. I live in Texas now. I run a Twitch channel and podcast focused on mental health and gaming, and I have been creating content, I think, for about 10 years now in some form or another. So
That's incredible. With all of that moving around, the first thing is just wondering, like, when and how did you start gaming, and what brought you into that world?
gaming. I started gaming in general a very long time ago. My parents, like, believe it or not, had like a Sega Genesis, and like they had the Super Nintendo. So my dad was super into like Legend of Zelda: Link to the Past. My mom actually liked Street Fighter 2. And then my older brother played like Alana. Like, it was like the typical like big brother, little brother, where he would like be playing Sonic the Hedgehog and he would hand me the unplugged second player controller. Yeah. So that's when I started gaming. Gaming was kind of a babysitter for me for a long time because my parents would work night shift, day shift. And so like when, you know, whatever parent was sleeping off their shift or whatever, I'd be playing like Banjo-Kazooie or be playing like, you know, Ocarina of Time, any of those games. So gaming's always kind of been like a kind of a part of me as far back as I can remember. So Pokemon toys and action figures growing up and all that stuff. So
There you go. Yeah. I was definitely in a similar situation where like I would watch my older brother play. Like I think that was one of our first consoles was Sega Genesis, where I'd watch my father play like Ren and Stimpy or like Earthworm Jim. It's like they were never playing like Street Fighter or anything. So unfortunately, I can't play those like platform fighting games in any way, shape, or form. But
right. I mean, I would like to believe that I can. I can't. Growing up with it, no, it's not the same. Yeah.
It's totally fine. It's nice to know that people share the same boat with that.
Exactly.
But with you, like, you know, watching your older brother play games and everything like that, would you say that attributed to you being, you know, growing up as a successful Twitch streamer, like where you wanted to have people watch you play games or interact with other people while you're gaming? Like, what inspired you to become a Twitch streamer?
It's kind of strange. I would say like that because I played games up until I like kind of hit high school, and then around high school I actually picked up skateboarding, and skateboarding became like the big new thing, and so games kind of became very backseat to my life. I didn't really game much for like 2 or 3 years. Like around the year that Skyrim hit was like when I kind of was not playing anything. But I was doing YouTube videos for skating. You know, how to perform specific tricks, how to kick flip, how to do all this stuff. And I'd done that for a long time. I started filming for people who were better than me, and I was the filmer guy. And then I moved to St. Louis. I lived in St. Louis for a while, and I kind of fell out of skateboarding, injuries and whatnot. And I met a friend who liked me, and him bonded over the fact that we both like the Game Grumps on YouTube.
Yeah.
And we are like, okay, well, we both like games, well enough. I'm getting back into gaming. He knows more, and so we started making YouTube content, doing Let's Plays and stuff like that. After like 2 or 3 years of having YouTube channel that didn't really go anywhere, like we had a lot of fun, but we were putting in way more effort than what we were getting back out of it. So he was like, look, I'm going to go back to school. Like I got to get a degree. Like I can't keep doing this, So I was like, you know what? I hear you. So I was like, I can't do YouTube content solo. Like that doesn't seem like a platform that I personally am capable of doing. Like PewDiePie does it. I cannot do it. Like that is, personality's not there. So I was like, okay, well, we could do this Twitch thing that I hear about. I don't get it. I don't know why you would watch live, but all right. And so I started, I wanted to be like a super good Overwatch player. So I just started playing a lot of Overwatch on stream, then started doing like Dark Souls. And so it was kind of like, I've always loved content creation, to be like your own boss and do all that stuff. I really loved making stuff creatively. Gaming, we kind of dug up my love for it a little bit, but it was really like right time, right place to have somebody to help me start up. And then when our YouTube sort of died off, Twitch was like the last resort, and kind of that was 2 years ago. So here we are.
Yeah, here we are with you're doing very well on Twitch. Your channel is fantastic for, everything from the people that it helps to the community that you're able to engage. It's wonderful. Honestly, to see the growth and success that you've had on Twitch. So even as as YouTube might have faltered, it's incredible to us that like you've done so well with Twitch, and like we applaud all of that. It's incredible.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
So like when you were coming onto Twitch and you were joining that platform, that journey, did you face any hardships that you weren't expecting along the way?
Yeah, especially for YouTube or for Twitch. For Twitch,
yeah.
For Twitch. Twitch is a monster that like there's like a whole political nature to how Twitch operates, and learning like the Twitch politics is hard stop. Probably it definitely, I think that is the hardship. At the time, when I started Twitch, I had actually just had my first and only child. She was a month old, so it was easy to stream because she was just asleep all day, like feed her a little bit and then go back to stream, and be sure she's doing well. But
yeah,
and as she grew, the streaming and like going to work and stuff was very difficult, and learning like what people like out of like content, and sort of growing into your own as a broadcaster and having that confidence as a streamer, while like growing in general. So like work-life balance was always like the hard thing. That was kind of easy though, because I had done YouTube for so long. Finding that balance wasn't too difficult, minor adjustments. But yeah, like the biggest like hardship for learning Twitch was like the sort of, hosting people, making friends of like the same size as you, and like sort of sharing that like nobody grows by themselves sort of mentality. Like this is not how Twitch works. And because with me at that time, anxiety was such a huge issue, like the sort of imposter syndrome of like people should be watching me. And this was before affiliate ship. This was before bids. Like when you're a small broadcaster at the time, you didn't get paid like at all, period.
Yep.
Unless somebody was using like Game Wisp or something like that. Rest in peace. But so it was weird to like try to figure out how to grow an audience that could eventually maybe one day want to pay you. And so it was more or less, figuring out that, and not being too beside yourself, because as a broadcaster, you can like isolate yourself from so many people just being in all day. And so, yeah, just figuring out how to make friends and make connections that were genuine and that weren't like strictly business. And it was that, I think that was the biggest hardship just in general, an ongoing one that like I think never really ends for people. So
yeah, definitely. With that, there's been a lot of like communities and things like that like with you with Loberwatch and like being friends with that, you've made like an amazing connection, not just with streamers around your own size or anything, but streamers that focus heavily on like mental health. Like we certainly applaud that, and that's one of the things that like drew our attention to you is like we love that. What made you want to focus so heavily on this area and make people aware of that? I mean, you play a lot of games, you play a variety of games, but you're focused mainly on Warframe. But I think every night you go through like forums and like help people with mental health issues and stuff like that. And like, that's incredible. That's honestly, it's very admirable. So what made you start on that?
Well, so like originally, you know, when I was 16, I went through a particularly like rough patch in my own life. This was back when I was just doing like skateboarding and like trying to get through school. As I got older, my parents were like less and less involved in my life. My dad had become disabled due to like an accident, and so mom was always working, sort of thing. So I basically raised my younger brother, and I felt not like as like a teenager, I felt like angstier than normal. Like I didn't feel like I was quite like my moods and emotions were the way they should be. So at one point I had asked my parents if I could get like, hey, can I like maybe get diagnosed or like go to a doctor for like how I feel, because I don't feel quite right. And the answer was no, that I'm a teenager. These things pass. You're just hormonal, so you know you'll get by it. And things progressively for me got much and much worse, to the point of where I attempted suicide, which it doesn't bother me to talk about now. It's not like a big dark depressing thing, because it's kind of helped to make me who I am. So it's sort of a milestone to have come out the other side. But then I got diagnosed. I got diagnosed with bipolar 2, which is manic depression, and then generalized anxiety disorder. I went to therapy. After all of that, graduated high school, etc. Life went on, and I kind of dropped like my mental health upkeep for years after I'd moved to St. Louis. I kind of just never like revisited the well. It was like, well, I went to therapy and we're good. When I started streaming, my mental health actually suffered a lot because of it's kind of like what social media has us do, where we compare ourselves to other people. Like, oh, this guy's growing, but why am I not growing? And beating yourself up. And so my mental health really, really suffered because I wasn't practicing proper coping techniques, and it was turning toxic to be like in my community, actually, because I was dead set. Like I'd always wanted to do content creation as my job, and my message for me was like, I want to have a place for, you know, people to come and like, you know, rally together and be kind of a family. But what I wanted and how I was stating that purpose was not, there was a disconnect. At some point, I made the improper call to ask my audience, which I had like 30 concurrent, you know, pretty average at the time. And, you know, maybe I think 2,000 or 3,000 followers. But I asked them, I was like, hey, here's an anonymous Dropbox. Give me some feedback and your name won't be attached to it. And if I've learned anything, it's to never ask the internet for anonymous feedback. I got tore to shreds. People told me they thought all I cared about was money, and that I was oftentimes like too harsh, or if I was having a bad day, I'd too agitated. I was unapproachable. And that's when I was like, I'm not well. Like I am not handling myself. Like my own ride on the mental health train is not over. So I went back to the drawing board to like figure out like how to get myself healthy, to kind of, you know, make other people healthy and to make other people have a good time in my stream. And in so doing that, I figured out that like there are so many people that are just like me that aren't really even aware that they're not well and aren't doing anything about it. So slowly I started just talking about like my feelings on stream, and people started identifying with it, and we started making connections, and we started growing a little bit. We started doing charity events for like AFSP, the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention, stuff like that. And I reached out to the heart support guys, and they kind of knew what I did, and we knew each other for a long time. And it wasn't until recently that I decided to make things a little bit more structured in the way that we talk about mental health, and give people kind of something with more of a backbone that they can rally behind, instead of just like, we support you guys being you. Like, that's a great message, but like in what ways? So we started doing the topic of the stream about 3 months ago, which is where we go to the Heart Support Forum and
Yeah.
we pull somebody's post and we read it and we respond to it. And so that's how everything evolved. It actually stemmed from a place of me not being healthy, and then realizing through that process that like you're never just done with your mental health. Like it is a constant upkeep. And through helping other people on the channel, selfishly enough, I end up talking myself subconsciously through a lot of my own problems. So at the end of the day, the mantra I have is I want a place on the internet that I wish I had had when I was 16 before I tried to attempt suicide. At the time, Facebook wasn't really much of a thing and all that. The internet was a very different place. But if having a place for you to go to talk it out, especially if your parents are deniers of your mental health issues or whatever, don't want to take you to go get diagnosed, however that may be, at least you have a place where we're like, hey, you may have something, but you can at least talk here and vent it out. So yeah, that's kind of where it all stemmed from and kind of where we are now. It's a long story.
Yeah. No, and that's understandable, and it's amazing that through all this you're able to become, a flag for, people that need that space and people that want it, people that weren't aware that a space like that existed. So it's awesome that you're able to do that. And as a streamer, as a community member of Twitch, or everything that you've done, it's truly awesome. And I say that a lot just because I have a lot of respect for people that are willing to be on the forefront of just like helping people. I love that. And whether it's just like talking about it or creating a safe space, and that's honestly really cool.
Thank you.
Now, would you say that creating this community that you have, would you say that's one of your biggest accomplishments on Twitch, or would you say there's something else?
I would say, yeah, I would say it's probably the biggest accomplishment. I mean, there are a number of milestones and like, we've hit this many viewers and stuff like that, Twitch partnership. But at the end of the day, none of that is possible without the underlying factor of like, this is the sort of community that we've built. So I would say that is the biggest accomplishment. Any other accomplishment stems from that base. So yeah.
It's still incredible, and congratulations again on Twitch partnership. That's an amazing milestone. The numbers that you have are they're overwhelming, that like you have such positive feedback on what you're doing. With all of this, what made you realize that you could start streaming and making this kind of content full time?
Luckily the affiliate program started, and regardless of whether you love or hate it, that gave a lot of people the opportunity to figure out whether they can do this or not.
Yeah.
Bits and being able to like, there were a few months where I was working my full-time job and I was streaming. I would work my full-time job, which was like noon to 10 at night, and then I'd come home and stream. After my daughter was in bed, I would stream from like 11 until like 3 or 4 in the morning, and that was the only time I could fit it in. But I was, people don't like to hear it, but streamers that do this full time or want to have to make money. So I was found that I was making enough money to supplement. I was making about 3/4 of what I was actually making at my job. So I was making a decent amount of money. At one point we were making, between Twitch and my actual job, I was making the same amount on Twitch as I was at my job. And my job had a commute, so like if I cut back on like how much gas I was spending and all these other like little factors, it evened out. And I was like, well, I can't stay at my job, so I'm going to go ahead and put in my 2 weeks notice. And I put in my 2 weeks, and they were like, well, if you're going to put in your 2 weeks, then we're just going to fire you. so they I got technically got written off of all the schedules they had, so I didn't get fired really. But I was just kind of thrust into full-time casting and was like, well, here we are. This isn't the way I wanted it, but so it was just kind of seeing, like we have the community, but does the money add up? And the money over about 3 or 4 months was enough to at least break even on my bills. So we kind of took the plunge and decided we wanted to do that. So it was scary, but it's kind of like having a kid in a weird way. It's like if you wait for the perfect time, like there's never a perfect time. You just kind of have to take the jump and figure it out. So we lined things up as best as we could, and here we are, still 7 months later, still don't have to go to the old 9 to 5 yet. So I guess we're doing it.
There you go. And I know that like a lot of the like making it or doing it, everybody has a different story, and it's amazing that you just got plunged in and you were able to, even 7 months later, you're like, here we are.
Still floating. Yeah, exactly.
It's incredible. And I know with your community and everything like that, you play like a plethora of different games. Like I know mainly you play Warframe, but you play a lot of different games on stream. Now, with this like community that you have you noticed that your community changes at all depending on the type of game that you're playing? Or would it be like the kind of community kind of supports each other throughout any kind of channel that you're in?
Yeah. It's actually it's been strange. There was a point in time where it was very much, if I did not play Warframe, at least 50% or more of our existing viewership would leave. We were so, last year I picked up Warframe. I streamed it for a few months. They decided they wanted to partner me, and I basically played nothing but Warframe for about 8 months. And while that was great, that's also the recipe for disaster on Twitch, where you get so embedded in a community that like you can't break out of that. We tried to break out of the box for a little bit at the beginning of this year, and it almost tanked the channel to the point to where like our sub numbers were going all the way down. Our income was going way down. So for a while, it was very much that it was game dependent. Once we started picking up the mental health, the topic of the streams, and really rallying behind that and building that wall, we found that people will kind of, 10 people might leave, but people kind of stick around or at least lurk. For me, I think like a week ago or 2 weeks ago, we started doing variety again. And I am not done with Warframe, but we'll do like an hour or two and we'll play with people, do like the daily missions, and then we'll do Pokemon, or we'll do, JRPGs or whatever. And that has been great to give kind of both sides of the audience what they want. But now it seems like no matter what people are, we have pulled such an eclectic and diverse group of individuals in that like some people may never have heard of the game, and some people love the variety game, and so those two will intersect and we can teach them about it and stuff. So it is very much now in a spot to where most of the time it doesn't really matter what game we're playing or anything. So thankfully.
Yeah, that's one of the hardest things that like any content creator or Twitch streamer is able to do, whether you're on Mixer, whether you're on Twitch, whether you're on YouTube. So it's very commendable to be able to like pull those communities together and like have them work together for the support. It's one of the hardest things to do on Twitch. A lot of people who have been on the channel or the OP podcast before have noticed like the trends make it very hard. So for you to be able to do that is awesome. And I know with Warframe partnership and all the amount of hours and days and months that you put into Warframe. Now for that game, what kept like drawing you back in for more? What kept drawing you back? Like, was it just the astounding amount of like features and like mods and weapons and like, was it everything in the game because of the content, or was it the community that backing you that kept you with Warframe?
It's like it was kind of equal parts. The game at the time that I started it last year was a 4-year-old game that had release after content release after content release. So there was a ton to plow through, and it's one of those games where like if you like the aesthetic of it, you see a cool thing and you're like, I want that cool thing. How do I get there? And so you kind of get through it. The Warframe community specifically is, for a streamer, it's a phenomenal community because they want to help so much to the point of spending money just to give you stuff in game, which has its double-edged sword, but so it's very much equal parts. And as I started realizing that, like, as I started making friends in that community and fellow streamers, and were becoming friends with me and stuff, and we started supporting each other, the growth became at some point so exponential that I was like, it wasn't like I'm going to stream this just to grow, but I was like, well, I like the game, I'm growing really well, so I'm just going to kind of main this for a bit and see where it goes. And so it was, yeah, it was equal parts, and it was, you know, the growth was happening, and so we were like, well, you know, we like the game. My community loves the game. They love watching me specifically and see like what I bring to it, and so yeah, it was. It's weird to say at this point in time, I've plowed through 5 years worth of content in about 1,500 hours or so. But you know, they do content releases like every month or 2 months, and so that always is going to draw me back. But that's also the reason for the slowdown, is I've done a lot, and I play the game on PlayStation, on Xbox, on the Switch, and on PC. I played on everything, and that's also exhausting. But so yeah, in terms of, you know, why we went so hard on it, it was kind of everything. Yeah, both community and the prowess of the game, I think, speaks for itself as well, if that's what you're into.
Oh, definitely. And that's incredible. You've been able to like dive that deep into the content on so many different platforms. That's a lot of grinding right there.
It's exactly what that is. Yeah, it's a lot of work, and a little bit of regret on the side. So
just a little bit. But Warframe does have like an especially like unique culture with it that you touched on, and it's nice that you're able to like tap into every unique niche of the Warframe culture on every different platform, which is really incredible.
Right.
Now, let's say somebody from your community wanted to start a channel of their own, be it for like Warframe or another game.
Yeah.
What advice would you give them, or would you tell them to avoid like any common mistakes?
I usually have 3 pieces of like key advice for when you start. And one's going to be so simplistic but the first one is like, keep talking. If you have 0 viewers, like, keep talking. Basically, no matter what, keep talking. If somebody hops into your stream and sees just the blank face of the game, that's a nope for me. So even if you're narrating what you're doing, if you're thinking and talking about your day, whatever it is, like, just keep talking. Basically, I always told myself, because I had so much YouTube content practice, it was kind of easy to get started, because with YouTube, it's you and a friend, or you yourself just riffing with the game. There's no chat, so it's no different. The second thing would be to turn off numbers in any way, shape, or form. Never look at like, I'm streaming for only 1 viewer or 0 viewers. It'll just drive you. Because we have a tendency to like see other people and compare ourselves and beat ourselves up, similar to like what I've gone through already. And honestly, I think we all still go back to that well and drink a little bit, where we, you know, look at other people and see what they're doing. And then the third thing is, be strategic with what you play. That's kind of the Twitch politics thing. If you really, really, really love, you know, Buck Bumble on the N64, it's probably a really bad idea to stream that game, however much you like it, because there's just nobody watching it. But also, unless you're god tier at Fortnite, nobody's going to the very bottom of the directory to see you in that. So you have to like find the game that has like 1,000 to 3,000 people but they're still active. You know, Dark Souls is a great community that somehow the game is like 3-4 years old, Dark Souls 3 anyway, and there are people still like watching it and playing it. And so finding a game that you want to play, but finding a game that's also strategic in the Twitch directories or Mixer or wherever it may be, that put yourself in the best position to grow. You know, aside from that, there's the obvious things: host other people, befriend other people, not for business reasons, but befriend people because you like what they do. It's I became friends with Lowbro because I loved what he says and does, and he means everything he is. And so I was like, I like this guy. This guy's transparent and amazing. And so out of that has spawned a good friendship. And to a degree, like, my sponsorship with OP was because he was like, oh, this is who you need to talk to. They will love you. Go do this. And I was like, all right, let's do it. So, you know, it just love people that have the same sort of vibe as you. And if you're loving on them with a genuine sort of heart, they will usually return that. And, you know, so the rest of it's, you know, hit or miss. You know, find what you do. If you're, it doesn't matter. I know people that have gotten really big streaming just off of their PS4 or just off their Xbox. That stuff is completely fine. And you can get a PC whenever you want, all that fun stuff. But those are the big ones, is just, you know, some of those things people don't inherently know. And that makes it easier. So.
Yeah, definitely. Just realistically just stay true to your content, stay true to yourself, and you'll make those true friends. You know, if you're just, you know, being who you are, there is most likely going to be, you know, an audience for that, and, you know, a lot of friendships that you'll be able to meet or be able to have. And I know recently you went to TwitchCon.
Yes.
And you were able to, you know, meet a lot of the people that you had like made these friendships and everything with that, which is incredible. Yeah. When you were at TwitchCon, how was the event from like a content creator's perspective?
Oh, sorry. You can elaborate.
Like, were you there to connect with fans or other brands to help grow the stream, or was it just a nice little, you know, sometimes it's nice to get out of the office where you're in front of a computer all day, you know?
Yeah. It was such a mix of everything. This was my second ever. Last year when I went to TwitchCon, I only had like 500 followers, and we had ballooned to like almost 9K by this year. So things were such a drastic experience from like affiliate to now. As a content creator, it was mostly just like strengthening friendships with people I'd met on Twitch who host me and I host them, and we go, we hug and we eat dinner and we have a few beers or whatever. You know, you solidify that friendship, and it's almost like it's the strangest event. It's almost like, you know, when you go on summer vacation, you really don't see your friends all, and then you come back from summer vacation, you go back to school, you see all your friends again. It's kind of almost like that feeling. I decided I wasn't really in with a lot of brands. I was like, I am getting to the point where I'm almost at 10K followers. Like that feels like a milestone, but I'm not putting myself out there. So it was definitely an opportunity to like scope out brands. And this TwitchCon felt more like a almost like a PAX in a way, but for different streaming oriented companies to come and show their stuff, you know. And so it felt very different compared to last year's. It felt very, very not businessy, but businessy, because it's streaming. It doesn't feel businessy, but I mean, there was like, I think JP Morgan Chase was there, like helping streamers with like finances. It was very strange. So I was like, well, I need a chair. So there's like 4 chair companies here, and like, you know, let's see, you know, I have a recommendation for at least one, but let's go give the fair shot there. And I had a business meeting with a few other companies for peripherals, like, you know, my headset and all that stuff. So it was definitely a time for me to push myself out there and learn to talk and market yourself. I know with me, especially with like anxiety and stuff, I have a hard time being like, this is what I do and I'm good at it. And so it was an opportunity for me to sell myself and get used to that, because I feel like you kind of have to get used to that to continue your growth, your path. So yeah, it was meeting friends. It was meeting people who had watched my stream. I call them friends too, but just to, it was meeting streamer friends and then friends from stream that watch. And that was very humbling. A lot of people thanking me for the mental health stuff we do, which was strange and humbling all at the same time. And then yeah, a lot of, you know, spreading my wings a bit and continuing to grow and push myself out of my comfort zone by talking to brands and being like, this is what I can do for you. So yeah, it's again equal parts everything.
It's wonderful to hear that you're able to, you know, network with as many people as you did while you're down there. Now coming back from TwitchCon, you know, streaming again, picking it right up where you left off. Right. Do you have any interesting projects coming up in the future that your community should look out for?
Kind of. I mean, we have a few things that are ongoing that we're teasing and talking about, sort of going back and forth on, because I have a Patreon that's open right now, and we're trying to figure out what people want out of Patreon. The biggest thing is we are working on our mental health podcast, which is called Less Than Three. It's for content creators, but it's also like it can fit the Venn diagram of people that also just struggle with their mental health in general. And we've had a few people on there already to talk about content creation and how to handle certain specific scenarios, and you know, anything from self-love and positivity to, you know, how to start talking about mental health on your own on your channel if you choose to. So that is something we have made a few episodes about, and we're starting to get a more rigid schedule and schedule people out all the way through December in terms of like guest appearances. And then in our community, we actually have a community newsletter that we just came out with today. that's, I think, the most exciting thing we've done. In our Discord, we have a venting section for people to get, stuff off their chest, but we have a triumph section as well, so people can celebrate their wins over mental health or life struggles or whatever it is. So the newsletter is a summary of anybody who, we have a triumph section, and we list out people that have done great things, getting accepted to college or going through surgery or chemo or whatever, as well as like people who are like, I normally have a lot of anxiety attacks, but over the past few weeks I've practiced coping skills, and now I have like maybe one every few days and stuff like that. We have like a community art section on the newsletter and stuff like that. So we have something to kind of just commemorate our community on a monthly basis, and because that's really all it's about for me. And then, yeah, like I said, the podcast is something we route through those iTunes and Google Play. Other than that, it's just we have sort of come into our own on Twitch, and that's the big thing is I feel like we are, instead of just talking about mental health here and there, we have more of a rigid format that people have really been able to rally behind, and I feel like that is ever evolving but completely worth mentioning. So
That's actually an awesome thing that he'd even just like started that newsletters. That's phenomenal for a community. That's
felt cool to do. Yeah.
That's awesome. Now with everything that your channel has gone through, with the brand and everything, what would you say is one of your favorite peripherals that's helped besides, an OP seat or anything like that? Would it be like your PC, a certain part of the PC, the new SteelSeries headset? Like, what would be your favorite peripheral?
That's tough. Honestly, the peripheral I can't live without has been the that I own, which I happen to have forgotten. So it's a SteelSeries Rival 500, and that is the thing that has got me through almost a year of Warframe now. I have, because Warframe uses 1 through 5 for your abilities. And that to me is like the most ridiculous stretch to make. Like it's not comfortable. So I remapped to my mouse, like I said, like a year ago, and I've been using my mouse to play Warframe and do all of that stuff since. So that's been the peripheral that I have that I am in love with. And then, yeah, the new SteelSeries Arctis 7s, which they sent me a little care package because I was like, hey guys, like, kind of need some wireless options. And I can't do wired headsets anymore. Like, I'm too jaded.
Yeah.
And my PC is actually like a little ways away from me, so it's like stretched all the way. But these have been phenomenal. I mean, if people didn't know, I have gauged ears. Finding a headset that doesn't pinch my ears and make that super uncomfortable has been difficult. And this is definitely the headset that has been the most comfortable. 8-hour streams aren't easy if headphones are pinching your head together. So those are the two I can't live without. My Stream Deck has been great, but it's a convenience.
Yeah.
If you can get a Stream Deck, though, they're pretty cool too. So
those sound like amazing options. And basically wrapping everything up, if there's anything that you ever wanted to like leave us with any lasting notes or anything, because like everything that I've heard so far, it's incredible. Like your journey from like YouTube to Twitch, where you were taking everything from Twitch and the community that you sustained, and like just gotten people to basically just like, it sounds like an amazing, loving community. And that's awesome to hear that like you're able to help so many people. Are there any lasting notes that you wanted to leave off on?
Honestly, like kind of everything's been said. I feel like the biggest thing with Twitch is, like I said, we're just out to provide, because Twitch is my main thing, despite YouTube and podcasts. Twitch is the main thing we do, and we're just out to provide a place where we can respectfully be ourselves. Whether you fall into LGBT, whether you're on the autism spectrum or beyond. It's been incredible how many people we have in our community that have actually, you can kind of see them come out of their shell a little bit. And so if anybody joins in, seeks us out, etc., that's what you're getting into, just a wholesome place. We encourage, if you just want to pop in and be stealth lurk all the time, that's completely okay. We just want you guys to be you guys. So yeah, I hope that my journey and like my conversation talking out like who I am helps other people kind of figure themselves out a little bit. You know, and I know for me, like I said, I come off a little strong in terms of like me just being like, here's my past. But it's built me to be who I am, and I don't think I'm ashamed of that. So I don't think anybody should be. So that's me, that's our community, and we look forward to anyone who may stop in and share in our morals and goals. So.
Exactly. You shouldn't be ashamed at anything you've built. This community sounds amazing, and
Thank you.
honestly, myself and OPC, we truly, truly appreciate you being on the show and talking to us and like letting us know about your, you know, little shining light that you've made on Twitch. That's, you know, it's amazing. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm equally as appreciative for the offer and the time taken to produce this. So thank you guys as well.
All right. Thank you.